Hey drivers, we have a lot of stuff to move, but today we're just going to take it one thing at a time, and we're going with the biggest thing that we're going to move throughout this whole process. It's a Thompson 2F surface grinder. The thing weighs 4,800 pounds. I have it loaded on the trailer and we're ready to go, but it's going to be a little bit crazy. I just fell into this thing, like it just fell into my lap. I just had an opportunity where if I could show up with a trailer, this thing was mine. And so I jumped on that chance, and here it is. Now I had to get real clever with how I was gonna load it because I don't have a forklift to unload it. This big forklift let it down onto the trailer where you see it now. But I'm not gonna have that where we're unloading. So I quickly put together this skid, and after the fact, once I got it home, I did some revisions on it and even tested it out. On top of that, I took the opportunity to put new tires on the trailer, and I went through all of the brakes as well, made sure all that was cleaned and working correctly. The only thing I'm taking on this load is this machine and what I need to remove this machine, with very few exceptions. That was kind of the cost to me of getting it, was making a special trip and taking a bit of time to make sure I had all this as engineered as well as I possibly could. And I think I've done everything I can. This grinder is massive. Now I've pulled the magnetic chuck off, but it's an 8x24 that goes there, and it accepts a 12-inch grinding wheel. I think we've got that head blocked up like we should. My neighbor and I were not able to remove the bed from the ways. I don't have a cherry picker, so I have it strapped down carefully with a little bit of padding in between the table and the ways. Also want to protect that rack gear from hammering on the drive gear. So I hope that works out. It's very much been the kind of thing where I didn't feel absolutely prepared to accept this thing, but that's all that I had to do. Like, the rest of it is like, if I can make it work, then I can have it. And today's the last big step. Today and tomorrow when we unload is the last big step to see if I'm actually going to end up with this grinder in a working situation. It's pretty exciting. Brought plenty of wood blocks. Hard to see, but there's some farm jacks there. And I'm doubling up on heavy duty caster wheels. We're gonna put 8 of these things on the skid before we try to unload it off the trailer. I've just done everything that I could think of to get this thing to go smoothly. Excited about this? Yeah, I'm excited too, buddy. That was my first time backing into this lean-to. Wanted to make sure there was clearance above it, but looks like it belongs there. What do you think, boys? The idea is to park the trailer such that the ramps will reach all the way on to the flat slab. This is a little bit uphill, and I don't want to try and push uphill, and I don't want to try and get up that ledge with this 4,800 pound monster. So we're going to come back a little bit more, and then the next thing we need to do is to make sure that it's on a downward slope from where it sits on the trailer all the way to the flat concrete. And to do that, we're going to pull up on some leveling blocks. We'll only put some blocks under the front axle. And here's the problem. We're going the wrong way when we do that, right? Our incline's coming up this way. So the only way that this really works is if the tail end of the truck also comes up. So I'll be pulling the rear wheels up on some blocks as well. In the past, I've done this with the tongue, which has the effect of lifting up the truck, but there's already a lot of weight on everything. So I'm gonna give myself at least a head start with some leveling blocks under the rear axle of the truck. Borrowed these from the RV. Now, if I want to raise a different wheel, but only use one block, I have to put this amount of space in. All right, so I want the end of this leveling block to be right here. That way, when I land on this block, I also land on this block. Oh boy. All right, so that didn't work out that great. Let's try something else. Okay, I think I'm in a good spot here to raise the tongue, get the slope I need, even just a little will do it. And I'm close enough with the ramps. That's all great. The question I have is height. This thing's going to come up a little bit when it gets put on wheels, a couple of inches. We have to make it under that door. And so, I don't know, are we going to be low enough by the time we get there? So, I'm going to grab a tape measure, see what the deal is. Okay, we are right at 84 inches and it's going to go up from there. So, yeah, I think I'm going to redesign a little bit. I probably am getting more incline than I really need. So I'm going to give up some of that to move forward a little bit. Hoping that gives me just a little bit of clearance here. It's going to be a tight squeeze, I think. So took some measurements of the ramps. I can come forward about a foot. So instead of coming down off of these and up on another, I'm just going to add to that stack. Let's see if we can do that on the other side too. Yeah, let's get some more blocks and just kind of build a ramp. The truck is taken care of because it's on the 2x6s. Yeah, it's going to be fine. Perfect. Our ramps are 5 feet. What you think there, Rodeo? Are you happy with that? I'm happy with that. We're gonna go with that. See if we can get the front of the trailer up. And then I think we'll be all set. I like to strap things down like awful things are going to happen on the road. Like someone's gonna cut in front of me, rough roads, whatever, because that always happens. So this skid is underneath the feet to support it. That's the basics. But I needed to keep it on there. So the crossbars are at a higher height. It's this here. And I mounted them such that they were clamping the unit in place fore and aft. And then I added these bars for the side-to-side clamps. And of course protected the unit with some wood blocks. It's sitting on 4x4s or dunnage if you prefer, underneath the feet, so the actual skid is not under stress right now. It does flex a little bit, this thing's so heavy, but right now it's not, because the weight is transferred straight down through that dunnage. Because that dunnage was unsupported directly underneath, I did add some wood blocks here and shimmed them to keep them in place. And just for funsies, I have some dunnage in the front and the rear as well. Now there are several things that needed to be strapped. First of all, I did not want this to come towards me if something terrible happened, like hard braking or a crash. I don't want this to run into me. So it's clamped into its skid, and the skid is chained in place. Same thing in the rear. So that should keep the skid in place. Also, I want to keep the unit on the skid, so its weight will mostly do that, but I did add one strap just for that purpose. And then the straps that hold everything in place are doing all of the above. So I have a strap that goes around the column and back to this side. Also, the other strap here goes around the column and to the other side. So we strapped this way, that way, forward and rear. So strap the sides and the fronts. So 4 different ratcheting tie down straps to hold this thing in place and down onto the skid, and the skid down onto the trailer. The last thing to strap is this table. It just sits there. I mean, it's super heavy, but it just sits there. So I put 3 straps for that, really 2 of them to hold it down, this one and this one, and they're not super duper tight because I don't want to put a ton of force on that. It's a very sensitive part of the machine. It's where the accuracy comes from. So it's just holding it in place, and to keep it from sliding off the top that way, I did put 1 strap here in front. Again, not super duper tight. Now the column, so it didn't hammer itself, or the spindle didn't hammer itself, I let it down and set it on wood blocks to protect the grinding wheel that's mounted there. Some would say this is overkill by a magnitude, and that's all right. I did lift up each end of the table and put a little bit of squishy in there. I was concerned about that. On the way up, I realized, well, that means that the weight of the spindle is right in the mid-span, but really not so much. Here's one of our wood blocks over some of that, so I don't think I bent the table. It should be pretty sturdy anyway. That was kind of my approach to this, is trying to think of every single thing that could go wrong, and I'm sure I missed stuff, but I did the best that I could, and so far we've gotten here. Now we need to continue on and get this thing unloaded. I have some help on the way. He's mechanically minded too, so he usually has some good input for me. Somewhere in this area is a hydraulic fluid reservoir that is apparently open. We lost a lot on the way here, which is fine. I want to replace all of it anyway. And machines like this prefer to be greasy and oily, so no harm done, but a little bit messy. There's a crop of birds. We have one at home too. They're Carolina wrens, ironically. Here we are in Carolina. Got some little babies in here too. Every now and then the parents come back with food and we hear them squawking in the background, which is kind of fun. Okay, this next step may go really well, and it may be a big struggle, but we need to bring the tongue of the trailer up high enough that the flat part of the deck is no longer going this way, but going that way just a little. The rear of the trailer is a dovetail, so if we can take care of the flat part, that's going to take care of itself. Now once we get an incline that we like, we're going to go just a touch more with something underneath the tail of the trailer. I have some jack stands we can use, some wood blocks, whatever, but I want the back of the trailer to be supported so that when all of this weight gets back there, it doesn't lift the tail of the truck up, which I've seen happen. Ask me about Pop Skinner someday. Oh, I hear our birds. They don't seem to mind the doggies. You know what? There's some more back here. There they are. How are the birds getting in there? Oh, yeah, they'd be going through here. Well, isn't that neat? We have some roommates. Check that out, Rhodey. Isn't that cool? Yeah, there's some birdies in there. All right, let's leave them alone. Come on. I'm gonna stay over here. Come on. Let's leave them alone. They're hungry. Good job. Rhodey. Rhodey, leave him alone, buddy. No, buddy. You gotta leave him alone. You gotta leave him alone. Come on. Come on. Okay, we have the most basic downward incline, I think. We need to go further. We got room for it, so that's cool. Now, since I'm getting all of my wishes, I'm going to try and set this height to make the smoothest transition for those ramps, which is going to be just a little bit more. Found a level. Let's try this. That would be level. This is where we are. So we have about 1/8 of an inch per foot, not even, of downward slope. Not much. I think I'm going to go just a little bit more to get me started, and if I need to bring it back up, I can. Okay, my help has arrived. Everybody say hello to Brother Daryl.
Hey.
Hey, Dad. He's tightening up. He's tightening up the last couple of bolts on the casters that we've bolted to our little skid here. And once we let the jack down on this end, we will be mobile. So I'll want to be really focused on that. And if everything goes to plan, we'll land down here somewhere.
Okay.
So before I let that down, we voted and all agreed it'd be a good idea to snug this up a little bit.
It's a good thing you did, because I had a lot of slack in it.
It did. I didn't catch that earlier. Okay, we'll let the other side down. At this point, our center of gravity is behind the rear axles, so we're watching all of this down here to make sure it stays nice and steady.
Center of gravity is right about here, I'd say. But your focal points are still on your axle and on this right here. Okay. Wherever your rollers are touching, that's the concentration point of your load.
Brother Daryl's an engineer.
What?
Huh? Are you happy with how things are going right now?
I think it looks great.
Yeah, I'm happy with it too.
So far, I'm pleased. Are we leaking any oil back there?
Almost undoubtedly.
I mean, can you see it dripping? I can't see any dripping.
I should have sloshed a lot of it out on the trip.
Yeah, you probably did.
So yeah, this is the next bit of excitement I'm expecting. It's coming.
Okay, but it
Went
goes
off that
down.
little dip. Yeah. All right, we'll see what it does.
is closer to the end than the right side.
So I need to come back this way.
You're 3.5 over here. You're 2.5 over there.
Okay, all right. What we're trying to achieve is coming off the end of these ramps at the same time, just like we did getting onto them. Now these ramps are kind of tapered at the end, but we're at such a low slope that the end of the ramps were up in the air. Now that the weight of the grinder is past this pivot point, it's actually tipped up the front of the ramp. So we're off the hook up here. We're gonna be okay, but we're watching it. Make sure it's in place before these swivel casters get to it. I think we're going to be okay because it's not as much of a drop with those blades under there. All right.
Just slow and easy. Okay, you're coming off on both sides. You're coming off onto the blade on both sides. That one did. Okay.
See it moving back?
The other one's off. Well, you're on concrete here.
So here's our problem. We are out of cable and we're almost done. So we're just going to go to a single length of cable. We're going to lose the snatch block and that'll get us the rest of the way home. The eagle has landed.
We did it!
We did it. We got the grinder in basically its spot without dropping anything, hurting anybody. Can't ask any more than that. And we're beat, but we got it. Right now it's sitting on some 4x4s. Eventually, for it to really be set up, it needs to be flat on the concrete. And we use these leveling screws and a precision machinist level here to really get things set up right. And I look forward to doing all of that, but for right now I'm going to leave it like this. I may be able to nudge it around with a pallet jack. I have a 5,000 pound pallet jack and this is almost 5,000 pounds, so that may be a lot to ask, but we'll try it when the time comes. This one, I think I'll fix it up and get rid of it. This was to be the grinder and it's a more reasonable size. But that machine is so nice. It's bigger than makes sense for me, but it's so nice. So these are good problems to have, folks. I think I have enough room over here just for its basic spot so that the table can come out. It'll come out this way at least 12 inches because it's an 8x24 if you do the math. So I think we're good over here. We'll do some more playing around. May end up putting this grinder going this way. We'll still need to clearance things over here against this wall, and so that eats up a ton of space. Here the problem is it kind of sticks out into the door area, and that's not a good thing to eat up, so I don't know, we'll figure it out. There it is, folks. The grinder has migrated north. That's going to do it for us this time. Get out in your garage, get some work done. We'll see you at the next Haptic Garage. See you then.